Good evening. Tonight's short scary story is about dental hygiene and an innovative concept to create a new type of toothpaste. But I have a feeling no one is going to want to use it for its conventional use. Author name: Hyper Obscura. Story title: Toothpaste Man. Toothpaste. That's been my sole purpose for the last 6 months. Ever since a friend proposed a conundrum to me over dinner, I haven't been able to let it go. Such a silly notion, really, but one I had never in my entire life considered before. That's me, I suppose. I'm a man of science. Sounds rather trite, I know. Pretentious, even. But I can assure you it isn't. It's just that when I get an idea, I can't help myself. I have to solve it. By any and all means necessary. It's just who I am. And this particular problem had vexed me for a long time. You see, my initial simulations clearly demonstrated that it wasn't possible. And believe me, I ran many, hundreds, thousands, adjusted countless variables, added countless more. But the outcome never changed. Critical hole breach at the early stages. Too many unseen variables. The next logical step was field research. Hands-on experimentation. I suppose I must have tried dozens of different approaches before I realized what I was missing. Location. Up until that point, I was sure the problem was in the execution. That if I kept refining the process, it would eventually work. That it was just a matter of how, never once stopping to consider the where. I spent weeks looking for the perfect spot. That's the thing, you see, it had to be perfect. I simply couldn't compromise anymore. I had to see it through. I had to put it all behind me. It was driving me mad, you see. Consuming me. Every aspect of my life revolved around the concept of the toothpaste. Quite silly, I know. But I found it. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. I'd still be out there, combing the caves, crawling through the dark, narrow passages, eyes peeled for that one perfectly shaped tunnel. It had to be wide enough to fit a person. That goes without saying. But it also had to get progressively narrower, to the point where said subject got wedged in, completely stuck. The tunnel needed to end in little but a hole, no wider than a couple of inches. I already had the hydraulic press more or less perfected for my use, and now I had the location. All I needed was a subject. It was the ribs and bones in general. That was the unseen variable I couldn't get around. They would protrude through the hole at the early stages. But I solved it. I secured the subject, a middle-aged man, circa 6 feet, 176 pounds, in the tunnel, head facing up. Prepared the hydraulic press to gently squeeze the subject downwards through the narrowest part of the passage, and watched, with tears in my eyes, I don't mind admitting, as every single drop of his now mostly mushy liquid was poured through the hole at the end, just like toothpaste from a tube. I solved it. I solved the Toothpaste Man problem. Personal thoughts. First off, it's certain that I'm never going to use this toothpaste. Let's get that straight. This scientist certainly did solve the problem. I suppose with enough force, anything is possible. But the bones were the issue. Compressing and breaking a bone small enough to fit through a tiny little hole, an inch across. That does seem perplexing. But he did solve it. Too bad for the middle-aged man, circa 6 feet. He didn't last long. And I can't imagine a worse way to go. Well, maybe drowning would be worse. In a way, that's the same feeling as claustrophobia. There's just matter all around you, and you can't move. You feel like you're being compressed, and in this case he was. It's getting hotter. You can't even see anymore. There's no light, there's no sound but your own heart beating. It's truly a horrific way to go. I wonder if this sadistic toothpaste scientist is actually going to try to sell the toothpaste, incorporating a tiny bit of this compressed man into his blend. I hope not. I don't think that would work. The bones would give it away.